Namaste, yogis. It's a pleasure to share a practice with you today. Let's begin through single-pointed focus. So once you've taken a cross-legged posture, find a single point on the floor about a foot in front of you, and make this the one point that you're going to be looking at for about the next minute or so. Focusing on just one thing allows the mind to start drawing in and helps us to find focus through the remainder of the practice. We'll be taking just about 1 minute of external focus on this singular point before we move into about a minute of internal introspection. Always feel free to adjust your seat if you need to, or to place a cushion underneath your seat. Support under the knees is also fine if they don't touch the floor. While you're creating this one point of focus through your vision, go ahead and let your breath get bigger by taking deeper inhales and longer exhales. Notice that the ends of your exhales create the beginnings of your inhales, and the ends of your inhales create the beginnings of your exhales. This gives us a continuous loop of one thing to focus on throughout the remainder of the practice. So while the mind may wander away from the practice and anything internal, you always have something to come back to. Recentering yourself. Take much deeper inhales, really filling up. And see if your exhales can become about 60% longer. The longer your exhale is, the deeper your inhale can be. A few more moments of one-pointed focus outside the body. Now allow the eyes to close and take your one-pointed focus internally to where you feel the breath and that continuous loop of breath that we will continue focusing on throughout the practice. We'll take about 1 minute of internal introspection, helping us to ground and become more centralized. Common for the mind to wander off, to think things like, ooh, I've got a to-do list for the future, or something from yesterday is still bothering me. That's normal. Just keep coming back to the breath, for it is not the ability to keep your focus on the breath for long periods of time that creates meditation. It's simply a willingness to come back to the breath time and time again. You can think of your breath as your home, that place you can always come back to, that hopefully provides you with a level of peace, calmness, maybe even serenity. Few more moments with the breath before we begin our movement practice, our posture practice, the yoga asanas, and the movements between them, our vinyasas. And one of the most simple forms of breath work we'll end this internal section with is the yogi sigh. Big inhale, and then verbally let it go. Easy way to drop off anything bothering you. Let's do one more, like you really mean it. And then with your next inhale, let your eyes flutter open. Begin to reach out, and then up and diagonal, and then straight up. And with an exhale, reach out diagonally, then forward, and then place the hands on the ground. If at any point you need to switch which leg is crossed in front or place any other forms of support underneath you, feel free to. We're going to have a gentle practice today, nothing too strenuous. A good place to start off at, and with further classes, we'll make things a little more advanced. I'll challenge you guys a little more. Maybe try walking the hands a little bit further forward. Let go of your back of neck so that your chin can drop, your forehead can drop, the top of your head can drop. Notice where you're feeling a stretch or any creaks in the body, any aches in the body, any soreness in the body. And imagine you're inhaling a bubble right next to that spot or right in the center of it so that there's some pressure applied to it. And then as you exhale, let that balloon deflate next to the sore spot. And let that pressure melt along with the tight spaces around it. A few more breaths here. Maybe a little further crawling of the fingers forward. These gentle seated postures and movements really help us to find ease in sitting meditation. Now begin to walk your hands over to the left. The right side of your back hip will try to peel up off the ground. Send it back down. And interlace your fingers with the right hand on top of the left. And again, maybe crawl the fingers forward after a few breaths, or just drop the forehead. And breathe a bubble into the space between your fingers, and the back of your right hip. Much deeper inhales, far longer exhales. About 2 more breaths here. And now we'll walk the hands over to the other side. No need to find a really deep stretch here. No need to really exert yourself. We're starting off gently, simply noticing where the limitations of the body are located. As we start to eliminate these places, we'll be able to breathe deeper and sit more comfortably. Remember, the breath is like a wheel. The inhales, the exhales, and no need to have any breaks in between them. Try not to hold the breath. A little bit longer on this side. Now walk the hands back to the center. And as you curl up with an inhale, reach out forward, then diagonally out. And then as you exhale, bring your hands to your heart. We'll check in regularly with the heart like so, closing the eyes for a moment to notice if anything feels a little different. If you feel a difference, breathe into that space. And exhale, letting that space melt, feeling refreshment. Smiles are always welcome. I find the practice to be very refreshing. Now with your next inhale, reach the arms back up. And as you exhale, bring the right hand down to the ground. And then stretch over through the opposite hand. And lean back, sending the thumb back in space as well. The whole arm back in space. The left side of your hip may try to peel off the ground. Try to push it towards the ground and maybe walk your extended fingers out a little further. Try reaching a little further and come back to the breath. Where's your body tight? Breathe into that spot. The wondrous thing about these postures is that we find that there's a lot of spaces in the body that are tight or sore or creaky. We're going to wash all that away so it's easier to tap in internally, finding our true inner selves. With an inhale, reach back up, maybe gaze up. And as you exhale, bring it to the other side. I sometimes give a little less direction on the opposite side just so you can focus on yourself. Inhale back to the center. And as you exhale, take your right hand and clasp onto the outside of your left knee. And then take your left hand and swing it behind you and place it close to your spine on the ground. Now with the right hand, pull on your knee and push with the left hand against the ground to aid your ability to twist more and gaze towards the side, or if possible, look behind you. Twisting often shows many different limitations in the body and crunches down some spots in the body. So inflate what's being crunched. And exhale, notice some of that crunchiness goes away. We're turning our crunchy peanut butter into smooth peanut butter today. Sorry for talking about food. Hopefully I didn't make you hungry. Inhale and breathe up. Reach up. Exhale and switch sides. So there's no real need to, but always feel that if you want to, you can pull harder, you can push harder in the postures, but don't do so much that you can't keep that steady rhythm of breath and keep it deep. The breath is far more important than the posture. The postures show us where the limitations of where the nervous system can send energy to help us calm down, and the breath actually does the calming down. Melts your stress away. Bigger inhales and longer exhales. As you inhale, reach back up. Again, switch which leg is crossed in front if you need to. Make yourself comfortable in the seated posture. We're just going to do one more thing in this seat. Grab onto both knees now with your hands. And as you inhale, start sending the lower belly forward, then the solar plexus, then send the chest up and forward, lift your chin, and let the top of your head go back. As you exhale, bring the top of the head up and then forward, tuck the chin, send the top of your back towards the back of the room, and pull your belly in. Inhale, front of belly forward, chest forward, throat open, chin up, head back. Exhale, head forward, chin down, chest back, belly in. We're creating spinal waves guided by the breath, meaning that your breath is when you start moving. Don't shorten the breath to match up with your desire to move faster. Let the breath be long, slow and rhythmic, and to guide the motions. Let's take about 3 more rounds here. Remember, you can always pull harder. And when you're exhaling, you can kind of wing the elbows out and push down. Alright, so these final waves we just took, now we're going to take them in the tabletop position. And this is where you place your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees beneath your hips. As you inhale, we'll take what's called cow pose. Feel free to moo if you'd like. Moo. And as you exhale, take the angry cat posture, or some call Halloween cat. Let's take about 4 more rounds here. And you want to think about each vertebrae being able to move independently. So at this point, you'll probably have a few vertebrae that seem to be stuck together. Breathe into them and see if you can't start to get them to shift a little bit more. Alright, we'll start making things a little more challenging. Now take an inhale and take that cow posture, and this time lift your right leg and try to get the bottom of your foot towards the ceiling, and then the back of your knee towards the ceiling, the hamstring, the glute, and the top of your head. Let's take 4 more breaths here. Keep trying to lift the leg. And if the kneecap tries to move out towards the right, try to make it point down towards the ground. One more big breath here. As you exhale, try to touch your knee to your nose. And then place that knee back under your hip, and we'll switch sides. Bigger inhales, longer exhales, while pushing your knee and your hands against the floor. Keep lifting your leg higher and higher. As you exhale, touch the knee to the nose or try to get close to it. Now drop your knees, send them a little further apart, send the hips back, reach your hands out further, and see if you can let the top of your head come to the floor. This is called child's pose or the breathing posture. It helps you to reestablish your breath. Bigger inhales, longer exhales. Release a yoga sigh. Beautiful sigh of relief. One more. With an inhale, come back to tabletop position. Now, kind of like that cat posture we did with a straight back though, that cow pose we did with the lifted leg, send the back of your right foot and your heel towards the back of the room. Try to pull your toes in towards the front of your body, towards your head. And maybe for an extra challenge, if you're feeling it, extend out through the left hand. No need to do this, but if you're feeling you can handle the challenge, please do. A few more breaths here. Notice the body might get wobbly. That's perfect. Breathe into the wobbles. They teach you a lot. As you exhale, let the hand and knee come down. With an inhale, we'll switch sides. Bigger inhales, longer exhales. Try not to hold the breath. Try reaching a little further through the heel, a little further through your fingertips. With an exhale, let your hand and knee come down. Now come into plank posture. So bring the toes to meet the ground. Push your hands against the earth. And we're going to hold this for about 10 breaths. If you need to cut the pose short, you can always drop the knees. And you can always come back to child's pose. Try to draw your belly in and the top of your back up. Push hard against the floor. Steady your breath. Bigger inhales and way longer exhales. You might be feeling the burn. That's good. Those are new spaces in the body activating. Going to be new places where nerve activity can move, and you'll be able to connect more easily into meditation with a more open pranic body. Exhale, drop the knees, and take child's pose. Prana is a source of energy that flows through the body. Notice the change of prana as you move from one posture to the next. Yoga sigh of relief. Maybe take two. Now come back to the plank posture. Walk your feet in a little bit. Push your hands forward and create the downward facing dog posture. So your knees might need to be bent here. Your heels might need to be off the floor. And I recommend this for the first down dog of the practice. More of a downward facing puppy. For this posture is not about stretching the back of your legs, but about getting the distance from your fingertips to your tailbone further for a longer, healthier spine. Drop the top of your head and start to pedal out your feet some so that you're lengthening one leg, bending into the other knee, bending into your toes, finding all those little limitations and starting to work them out through movement, through vinyasas. Vinyasa translates to careful movement. It's a great way of shaking up the postures and getting from one pose to the other. Now try to send the ankles down together. Try to lengthen the legs, straightening them out some. And push forward into your hands to get your tailbone further away from your fingertips for a nice, long, healthy spine. 5 more breaths, focusing on where you feel your limitations. With your next inhale, walk your feet to your hands and then lengthen out the top of the back so that the top of the head reaches forward and your tailbone reaches back. As you exhale, fold over. You probably feel the back of your legs. Take a few breaths here. The knees can be bent. No need to keep them straight. I've been practicing for some time now, so my hands come down, but that's okay if yours don't. You can also have your hands on your shins and lengthen out your legs from there. And then as you inhale, sweep your arms out and up. As you exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Close your eyes and check in with prana. Check in with your senses. What do you hear? I'm hearing some beautiful bird calls today. And what do you know, right when you notice things, sometimes things get a little quieter. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes the sounds keep going. Sometimes your mind keeps going. That's okay. Inhale and sweep the arms out. And then reach up. Exhale, reach out diagonally. Then forward. Then down towards the ground. As you inhale, reverse this motion. Maybe at the top, reach back a little bit for a back bend. As you exhale, fold over. Maybe you can find a little bit more depth to the posture. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, reach down. Sounding like a tropical forest today, tropical jungle. Inhale up. Exhale over. Yogi sigh. Ah. One more. As you exhale, reach down, bend your knees, place your hands on the ground, reach your left foot back, let your left knee touch the ground, let the top of your foot touch the ground, place your hands at your heart, then reach up, lean back a bit, and breathe into the posture. Bigger inhales, longer exhales. One more big breath here. As you exhale, let your hands come to the ground. As you inhale, step the left foot forward to meet the right. As you exhale, send the right foot back. Knee down, top of foot on the ground, or you can keep your toes on the ground if that's more comfy. Hands to heart. Inhale, hands up. Maybe even reach back some. You might wobble in the pose. That's okay. That's just you're gaining balance and the nervous system learning how to steady itself. Much deeper inhale. Way longer exhale. Few more breaths here. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step the right foot forward. Lengthen out your back. And as you exhale, clasp onto the back of your legs and use your hands to help pull you a little deeper into the fold. Also grab onto the toes if you can reach them. Let go of the back of your neck if you're creating tension there. Steady the breath. As you inhale, bend the knees. Reach up and out diagonally and take the chair pose. Palms up. Try sitting a little lower, reaching a little further. Try sitting a little lower, reach even further. And one more time, really challenge yourself. Feel the burn. That's you getting stronger. And then inhale, use that burn to grow tall. Reach up, maybe back a little bit. And as you exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Notice the pranic flow within you. Is anything feeling different than when we began the practice? I can feel a rush of sensations around my lungs and my heart. Now we'll challenge ourselves a little bit. Step your feet out nice and wide. Rotate your toes to point outward. And we'll take the goddess pose. Bend your knees, pointing them out. Bring your hands to your heart. And try to sit a little lower. Maybe a little lower. Try not to let the tailbone move back, but instead down. Ooh, this is a challenging pose. Inhale, reach up. Walk the feet so that your toes point inward now and your heels point out and back. And as you exhale, take a wide leg fold. You need to bend the knees so your hands can touch the ground. You can lengthen the legs here with your hands on the ground. Walk your hands back between your feet. Drop the top of your head towards the ground. Inhale, walk the hands forward so you have a straight back. Bring the feet in. Inhale, roll up. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Close your eyes, focusing on your breath for about 10 breaths. So I had a little problem with the camera and I needed to readjust things, so I have magically done an outfit change and a little change of angle. But it was at a good time anyway, because we're going to be transitioning into a seated sequence now. So this is going to help you to find a meditative seat more easily. A lot of times when we try to sit for meditation or breath work, we end up getting messages from the body of, oh, my spine is achy, or ouch, my hips hurt. And all of the postures help to ease the channels of the body into a place to where these types of signals come up less and less. So we'll jump right back into the practice before we head into breath work, yoga nidra, one-pointed focus, and then our final meditation. So begin with your simple hamstring stretch, your simple forward fold. Let your feet come out in front of you. And as you inhale, sweep your arms up. And as you exhale, reach out diagonally and then forward. And then for the shins, maybe even the big toes. Some of us can grab underneath our feet. Doesn't matter where you grab. What's important is that you grab a spot and you inhale to pull on that spot, helping you to lengthen and straighten your spine. Inhaling. And then as you exhale, use a gentle pull to aid you in creating space between the vertebrae as you take on not just a hamstring stretch, but a posture that helps you to stretch out from the back of the heels all the way to the back of the head. And to make this happen, drop your chin. Drop your forehead. And deepen your breath. Bigger inhales, longer exhales. Notice there are sensations in the body that are rather surprising. Allow these sensations to be looked upon as places in the body that are locked up, and dealing with these alarming spaces with regular breath allows them to start to ease out, releasing stress and making an open space available for ease of posture and happy sensations. Try to flex your quadriceps as you lengthen the back of your legs by pulling the kneecaps towards your hips, sending the toes towards your body and the heels away, and pressing the spaces on the earth down into the earth. About 4 more breaths here. Next inhale, reach your arms out and then up diagonally, all the way up. And as you exhale, let your hands come down. We'll counteract stretching the back of the body by stretching the quadriceps. So come into a kneeling posture, like so. What I recommend is that you take the flesh of your calf muscles and grip onto them with the thumbs inside and the fingers outside, and then roll them out so that there's more space for you to sit. Some of us have large calf muscles, and this can make for painful sensations in the knees. If you need to, go ahead and put a cushion underneath your bum if you're feeling sharp and shooting sensations in the knees. A lot of postures can be described as painful, but if you're not getting sharp and shooting sensations, generally it's just a locked up space in the body that can be steadily breathed through. So, from where you're at right here, if you're not already feeling a good lengthening in the front of the legs, you might start to walk your hands back like so. Try to squeeze your knees towards each other. Maybe let your elbows bend a little more. Some of us might even be able to come onto our forearms. If that doesn't happen easily, don't make it happen. And then wherever you're at, lift your chin and let the top of the head roll back. About 6 more breaths here. Huge inhales. Long exhales. With your next inhale, tuck the chin towards your chest. Walk your hands forward to help you come forward. And we'll release a little bit in the back while also getting to some other spaces in the body by taking child's pose. Walk your hands out. Let your forehead come down. And there's two variations of this pose. One has the knees together like I have, which helps to lengthen out your back. And one has the knees wide, which helps you to open up the hips. I recommend trying both variations and seeing which one of them makes you say, ah, a little more. And spend a little more time in that variation for about 5 more breaths. If your head doesn't ever come down to the ground in postures where you want to rest your head, stack your fists up like so or place a block down. It's important that you can let the head rest, otherwise there's a tendency to crunch up the back of your neck and exert force in the back of your neck to close that space, which is no good. Crunching the top of your spine sends crunchy waves down to the bottom. With an inhale, walk yourself back up, and then sit down with the bottoms of the feet touching each other close to the hips. Place your hands on the outside of your toes and try to let your knees come down. When you feel a sensation on the inside of the hips or wherever you feel it, that's as far as you really need to go. But sometimes we're feeling good and eager to stretch more. You can try peeling the feet open like you've got a book down in front of you and taking your elbows and applying them down into your thighs. Next exhale, let your forehead come forward. Drop your chin. And hang out here for a couple more breaths. Bigger inhales, much longer exhales. Next inhale, come up. Now we'll take a kind of a mix of this posture and the forward fold we did. So take the left leg and send it out like you're doing a forward fold. Take the right foot as close to the groin as possible. You can do a little shimmy move and pull the flesh of your glute muscles back to help you sit more comfortably. And then with an inhale, rainbow the arms up. As you exhale, see if you can grab onto the shin, toes, or foot. Inhale, pull on that space to help lift your top of head. Got a little bee visitor on my toe. And as you exhale, drop your chin, drop your forehead, release into the posture. Remember how we flexed the quadricep in the forward fold? Let that happen on the left leg. Push the right foot into the inner thigh of the other leg. If this knee doesn't come down all the way, you can always place a blanket or a pillow underneath it, or a yoga block. With an inhale, reach out, up and diagonal, all the way up. Exhale, arms out, and switch sides. One side might be different. You might need 2 pillows under this knee. You never know. Be comfortable in your postures before getting too uncomfortable. And never get too uncomfortable to where you can't breathe steady. Exhale over. Inhale, find your spot you can pull on to lengthen the spine. Exhale, drop into the pose. Listen to the sensations your body is telling you and guide your breath towards them, like inflating a balloon around the stretch that makes it feel a little more intense. And exhaling and notice the sensation getting less intense. The breath is our internal massage therapist. Next inhale, come up. Exhale, let the arms come down. Now we're going to take a variation of this pose that is instrumental in meditation and breath work. And it's very much so like the pose we just took, but this time the foot is going to be more so trying to get the top of the foot on the earth. It won't probably come all the way onto the top of the earth. And then the heel is going to be placed in between the genitals and the anus. And you're going to try to actually sit on the heel if possible, so that the heel provides pressure into where Mula Bandha, the root lock, is located. And a lot of us have a lot of soreness in that area, maybe numbness, maybe achiness. And so as long as there isn't a sharp and soothing sensation there, the pain, breathe through the sensation you get. So I'm going to pull this foot in, place my toes to where almost every toe except for the big toe is pretty much under this leg, and then lift myself up. Bring the genitals forward of the heel of my foot. Find that spot where there's some limitations that kind of make you go, whoa, I feel that. And then breathe into that space. Inflate it, deflate it. Next inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold over front leg. We're going to take about 10 breaths here. This is going to be intense, but it will provide you with more benefits than most postures. Next inhale, sweep up. Exhale, release your arms and prep for the other side. Bring the foot in, tuck most of the toes underneath your leg. Lift yourself up, walk yourself a little forward so that the heel is in contact with Mula Bandha. Sit down on the heel. Might need to lean forward a little bit to help you find that weight there. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Find a little more in this pose. You can try pushing the toe side of your foot, the front of your foot, down towards the earth and trying to lift the heel up more into the contact of Mula Bandha. A few more breaths here. Huge breath. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, release. We're going to move into some lying down postures. And so what I want you to do is to lay on your back, and then we're going to pull our knee in on the right side. Either with your hands, pull the knee and the foot in towards you and start to rock the shin left and right. Some of us might even be able to take the inside of our elbows to that spot around the shin. And some call this rocking the baby. You should feel a lot in the outer glute muscle, outer hip. This really helps us to sit deeper in our postures. Try to get the knee and the foot to move further left and right, using not just your arms, but also the leg muscles. Pull in tight towards your body if you can a little more, about 5 more breaths. Release that foot back to the earth. We'll take on the other side. This is one of my favorite postures and favorite movements. It really helps out a lot with parts of the body that can end up giving you sciatica, sciatic pain. Try pulling a little closer to your chest. Maybe even reciprocating by pushing your leg back against that pull to really activate the left and right turning of the leg. A few more breaths here. And then release. We'll take a moment to check in on our prana, so just let everything go. Lay on your back. Let your eyes close. And notice the changes of sensations within your body. We're going to come back up now into a seated posture and start to work on some breath work. So the first work that we're going to do is to find limitations of where the breath isn't flowing. So we're going to do what's called location-based breath. With your next inhale, try to inflate the space that you felt in Mula Bandha, where the heel was contacting between the anus and genitals, so that an expanding bubble pushes that space down towards the ground. Inflate more, and as you exhale, try reversing that feeling of Mula Bandha being pushed down by lifting Mula Bandha. This is a key essential to breathwork, meditation, and really everything in the yoga practice. Let the eyes close as you do this. A little tip here to help you find the activation of Mula Bandha is as you're squeezing the exhale out, squeeze your anus in a way that is like you're trying to stop waste from leaving the body. Squeeze your urethra, where it's like you're trying to stop yourself from urinating, and then release those spaces. And eventually you'll come to find how the space in between them can be contracted and pulled up without actually using either of those. But sometimes we have to use those at first to get more familiar with the area. I'll give you about 8 more breaths of working with this. Every time you contract a space as you exhale, imagine your inhale next time is going to inflate against that space. So every muscle that you use in the postures goes in and out, gently squeezing out the lactic acid that has been stuck there and starting to warm up and release the locked up myofascial tissues of that area. One more huge breath centered there. Next, we'll move into inflating more of the top of the hips, the lower belly region beneath the navel and above Mula Bandha. So as you inhale, try to puff out the lower belly beneath the navel, puff out the sides of that area, and puff into the bottom of the spine behind those spots. As you exhale, squeeze that whole circular region in towards the spine and the area just in front of the spine. So that space is a big circle as you inhale, comes down to a little one as you exhale, back and forth. Biggest inhale yet. Really puff everything out. Exhale, squeeze tight into that area, really flex everything. And release. Now we'll work with the navel itself and some space just above the navel. So as you inhale, you can imagine there's a string on the back of your navel, pulling on it towards your spine, slightly lifting it as well, and then all the spaces around that circle doing the same thing. It's kind of that sensation that you may have known about for a long time of just trying to suck your gut in. Biggest inhale yet. Long exhale. Squeeze everything in that region. And then release. Now we'll work where the diaphragm is closest naturally. The bottom of the ribs, bottom of the sternum, and the spine region behind those areas. Inhale, inflate so that the lowest ribs expand, as well as the upper belly. Might feel it in the bottom of your sternum and in your mid-back. Same thing, in and out. As they come in, maybe lift some too. Kind of the way a volcano is shaped. Biggest inhale yet, biggest circle you can make. Exhale and squeeze it tight and up. And release. We'll now work with the heart area, the whole sternum, top of sternum, clavicle bones, and the upper back. That area behind the sternum is known as the wall in front of your heart. We're going going to break down all the barriers around your heart and start to really let the heart open. This wall can be formed from past trauma, hard emotions, sadness. So we build up this wall thinking that we'll protect ourselves from all that stuff in the future. With any wall, you can't let the stuff that's on the inside of it out. We want to be able to share what's in our hearts. So let's break down this wall. Huge inhale into the heart space. Exhale, pull the wall in, pull all the ribs in, pull the space in the upper back in, break down the bricks that have cemented this wall, and let them go. Let them melt away. We'll now work with the throat. Same thing with the throat. When we feel like we haven't been able to express ourselves, we shut down the throat. Now we're going to open it up. Feeling breath entering above the clavicles, opening the throat itself, moving towards the lower jaw and the back of your neck. You might feel the outer back jaw muscles in the bottom expanding and pulling in. Awesome. Huge inhale to inflate all that stuff. And with this exhale, verbal sigh of relief. Ah. Feel the vibration in your throat. 2 more, like you really mean it. Like you got a lot to pull in and fill up, and you got a lot to let go of. Ah. Those vibrations of voices being made, sounds being made, shakes up all the tightness and myofascial connections you have, reduces them to next to nothing. We'll now move into the third eye. This will be upper jaw, cheekbones, eyebrows, temples, ears, brainstem. Try gazing towards the third eye with eyes closed. Your eyes roll back some. Go in about 30 degrees and focus on the region right here between your eyebrows, about 2 inches back towards the center of your brain, expanding and contracting. In scientific terms, the wall in the front of the third eye that keeps it closed is called the calcification of the pineal gland. We are breaking down these calcium deposits and letting them be deposited in the rest of the body where they can aid bones that they really need to be helping stay strong, and letting the bones around the third eye become movable, become flexible, become strong and open. Slight lifting of the chin helps the eyes roll back. Next inhale, fully inflate. As you exhale, imagine a warm honey from the third eye melts down through the rest of your body. Next round, we'll work with the top of the head, the crown chakra, literally where a crown would rest, the halo depicted in so many religions. Above that, the aura transmitted out of the crown chakra. Inhaling, inflating. Exhaling, pulling in wisdom from the universe in towards the third eye region. Biggest breath yet. Huge inflation of your crown and halo getting bigger. Your aura above your head growing. Exhale, let it all go. Let it pour down over the third eye, through the third eye, through the brain, through the rest of the body. And then sit with no technique and simply notice what has changed within your body. Allow yourself to continue simply noticing for a final meditation. Sit as long as you'd like. Namaste, yogi.